Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and in this video we are going to be starting our look through of the Warhammer 40K Blood Angels 10th edition Codex. So this will be the third Codex that we have covered on the channel. So like it says, this is for the Blood Angels chapter of the Space Marines. And yeah. So just before we dive into the book, just a couple of things I want to mention about this video. So this will follow the same format as the previous two, where I read most of the pages, not all of them, just the main important ones in terms of lore, as well as intersplicing some footage of some miniatures if a certain group or a certain class is mentioned. I will show you what that model actually looks like on the tabletop. And also, just in case you are completely unfamiliar with Warhammer or the Blood Angels in general, they are the 9th legion of the Astartes. They are one of the original legions. They are my personal favorite loyalist legion, and they're the loyalist legion I play on the tabletop, and overall are my second favorite Space Marine legion. I tend to prefer the original legions over sub-chapters, but that's just a personal preference of mine. So also, before we start, I just wanted to show you guys this guy. So this is a Blood Angels Intercessor. So this is the standard, most basic version or unit for the Space Marines, and of course I have them painted as a Blood Angel. They are still very powerful because they are Astartes, but compared to basically all of the other units, they do not have a specialization in any way. They are just the standard run-of-the-mill infantry. And I still like them a lot. And one of the things about the Blood Angels that we'll get into is the detail with the paint. You can really go in depth and make each member of each team have the unique symbols, or if you're not into that, you don't have to do that at all. It's completely up to you. For example, I have the symbol on the shoulder guard, as well as the symbol on his knee pad, which basically signifies his position position within his squad. So this is the main color scheme for Blood Angels. They are red, as you can see on the cover. As the ranks increase, they get more and more gold accents. And one of the really cool things about the Blood Angels that I like is they have armor colors for essentially every single role. So for example, standard units, such as this Intercessor here, has a red helmet, whereas units that specialize in close quarter combat have yellow helmets, and units that specialize in heavy weapons have blue helmets. Units like sergeants have black shoulders. Units like lieutenants have gold helmets and trimmed gold shoulder pads, and all the way up to captain is the same. And there's also some special stuff, like some units have black helmets, some of the more behind enemy lines units. But again, this is all completely optional. You do not need to do this. I did just because I really enjoy painting. But if you don't want to do that, and you just want to have your Blood Angels be all red, that is completely fine too. And the symbol on his side here, on his left pauldron, is the Blood Angel's sigil. So with that out of the way, let us get back to the book and let's start this video. So this is the inside cover of basically all Space Marine codexes, or codices, sorry. And this is the start of the book, the Blood Angels, and this is the logo or sigil that they have, a winged droplet of blood. I forgot to mention it, but like I said, they are the 9th Space Marine Legion, and their Primarch is Sanguinius, the Angel. So that's where they get the name Blood Angels, and that's why you will see that a lot of their higher ranks incorporate some kind of winged motif into their armor in terms of ornamentation. Here's just a little bit of some gameplay stuff, and again, like the other two previous videos, we will not be covering data cards or data sheets in this video. So here we have an amazing display of, this is all done with miniatures of a battle going on, of the Blood Angels fighting a battle. I really like these in the codexes, how they have not just great art, but they have these entire dioramas set up that are 100% made with just models from the tabletop. So you can see there's a lot of tanks here, some dreadnoughts. I can't exactly see who they are fighting. It looks like some Tyranids down here, as well as maybe some other enemies here, or maybe these are Imperial Guard as well. As far as the Blood Angels go for their cooperation with other other branches of the Imperial's armies, they are basically in the middle. They aren't particularly kind, they aren't particularly malicious, they just do what they need to do. If you're a heretic, you're gonna die. If you're a civilian, they won't go out of their way to kill you, and they won't go out of their way to save you. For example, the Salamanders unit are known for their kindness and putting the lives of civilians above their own, whereas other legions, such as the World Eaters or Night Lords or Iron Warriors, do not care about civilians whatsoever. And yeah, so that's enough of me just spouting lore. Let us dive into the book proper. So we start here, Sons of Sanguinius. Now, just before I start, let's take a look at this art over here. So we see a bunch of different Blood Angels drawn. We have a Sanguinary Guard here, as well as a bunch of armor and stuff around him. The Sanguinary Guard are something that we will more than likely go into later, and if not, I will come back and explain what they are, but I don't want to jump the gun. But also, this codex is very text heavy, and I mean, like, it makes the Adeptus Sororitas Codex look like a picture book. So there's going to be lots and lots of me just reading stuff. In Sanguinius's perfect image, the malnourished sons of a ruined system are sculpted as an artist molds the great heroes. They emerge from their apotheosis as mighty warriors, beautiful in form, elegance, and bearing. The stunted grow tall, the feeble grow strong, the sickly grow hale. Thus is the great angel's vision for the Imperiums embodied in his sons. No matter the wretchedness of humanity's existence, it had the potential to rise anew, more wonderful than mankind itself could ever imagine. For 10,000 years has it been. But such is the price the Blood Angels have paid for their loyalty is hideous. Sanguinius was slain by the arch-traitor Horus, and the spiritual shock of his death would bedevil his gene sons forevermore. Few know the true cost of the great angel's demise, though it is one of the Blood Angels pay to this day. The toll of what is known as the flaw grown greater with each passing year. So, like it said, Sanguinius was killed by Horus at the end of the Horus heresy. And what happened was his death caused such a negative psychic aura or effect, or whatever you would like to call it, that it has permanently damaged the region's psyche, as well as the gene seed itself. So even if you weren't there at the Siege of Terra, and you have the Blood Angel's gene seed, you are also affected by this. What this curse is, we will get into later, but that is just a really great introduction to the Blood Angels as a faction. So, let's move on. Okay, so again, we will look at the images first, the art. So we have a massive, massive statue here with a bunch of candles and banners. These look to be different symbols from the Blood Angels, and I believe the statue is meant to be Sanguinius himself, but I'm not quite sure, as I actually can't make out the image that well. But let's get into the text. So this is the defense of Armageddon. Many times has Hive-World Armageddon been the site of devastating wars. The Blood Angels' long association with the planet began soon after the invasion of the world by a huge orc war, led by the brutal warlord Gazkul Thraka. I hope I said that right. The overall defense of the planet was entrusted to Commander Dante, who led a combined force of Blood Angels, Salamanders, Ultramarines, and Astra Militarum to victory, forcing the orcs to retreat. Dante is a very pivotal figure in the Blood Angels, but we will get to him later. Gazkul would not relinquish his claim on Armageddon so easily, however. Decades later, as High Fleet Leviathan, that is the Tyranids, swept towards Baal, and Baal is the Blood Angels' home world, Commander Dante's librarians received an astropathic plea for assistance. Gazgul had returned. Despite the Tyranid threat advancing upon Baal, Dante dispatched his third company to Armageddon. So important was Armageddon's industry and its position upon the stable warp route to Terra, to the Imperium. The fighting has continued ever since, with more orcs constantly flooding into the system. To make matters worse, the demons of Khorne and their mortal allies continue to pour onto the surface of the planet through a warp rift located on at the planet's northern pole. The bloodshed upon the beleaguered Hive world continues to escalate. Also, I meant to say this at the start of the video, but I apologize for my hands being covered in paint and glue. I have been assembling and painting my newest army. I'm not going to say what they are just yet, as there's going to be a video coming showcasing them very soon. But anyway, back to the 9th Legion. So, the Blood Angels are the scions of the Primarch Sanguinius, one of the greatest of all the Primarchs. He sculpted and fashioned the Blood Angels as he saw fit, inheritors of his genetic legacy. His sons have formidable combat skills and a deep philosophy, continuously striving to live up to his example. It was upon Baal Secundus, the second moon of the planet Baal, that Sanguinius was discovered during the Great Crusade. It is believed that Baal Secundus was once a verdant paradise, its peoples highly advanced, but by the time of Sanguinius' discovery it was an irradiated hellscape, and has remained that way into the 41st millennium. The people of Baal were badly affected by the harsh environments. universally malnourished, sickly, feeble, and afflicted by lesions, blemishes, and carcinomas. They remain so to this very day, scratching out a living from husks of their once great civilization, and only braving the elements in patched rad suits. So, fun little fact, when Sanguinius was originally found, Balsacundus doesn't say it here, but was infested with mutants, not because of chaos, but because of the irradiation. So when the tribe stumbled upon the infant Sanguinius and saw that he had wings, I forgot to mention that Sanguinius actually does have a real pair of functional angel wings. They initially wanted to kill him because they thought that he was a mutant, but they decided against that and brought him into their tribe or clan and raised him as one of their own. Not the best planet to land on, but definitely not the worst either. Sanguinius, immune to the ravages of his adopted world, was a vision of impeccable beauty who united his people, bringing a hope they never had before. Once rediscovered by the Imperium and united with his legion, his burning desire to improve the lot of those around him extended not only to the space marines he inherited, but also to humanity itself, and he imbued his sons with his visions for the betterment of mankind. Also, Sanguinius was able to see visions of a better future. A lot of the Primarchs are Psychers, some to various degrees and some not at all. Sanguinius is, and he was gifted with foresight that showed him the best possible futures, which is in contrast to someone like Conrad Kurz, who also had this same affliction, but was only shown the worst possible futures, so they're kind of opposites. And that's where a lot of the Blood Angel Night Lord rivalry comes from. Anyway, to join the Blood Angels, aspirants must reach the place of challenge at Angel's Fall, where Sanguinius is said to have arrived in Baal Secundus 10,000 years ago. The journey across the Rad Soap Desert is fraught with peril, with many dying due to the harsh elements or dangerous predators, such as fire scorpions, catch spiders, and thirst water. I don't even know what thirst water is, and I don't even want to know. That sounds terrifying. Those who survive this perilous journey must then pass through several winnowings, in which the chapter determines who is worthy of progression. More perish in these deadly games and tournaments, but the successful aspirants are taken to the Arch Angelicum, the Blood Angels' fortress monastery upon Baal itself. There, without rest, they must observe a candlelit vigil for 3 days and 3 nights in the general chapel of the Blood Angels. Those who fail are never seen again, meaning they are killed, basically. So the Space Marine legions, and now also the chapters too, I guess, each had their own kind of initiation process for new recruits. Some were tests of endurance, survivability, pure strength, stuff like that. But this is the Blood Angels ritual, where it's simply a pilgrimage through the landscape that is so harsh that anyone who's able to make it through and then make it through the 3-day-long vigil is deemed worthy to join. Again, not the worst, but also not the best. Soon after, the sanguinary priests provided the aspirants who remain with the sanguinary chalice, from which they sup a small amount of blood drawn from the priest's veins. So this gets into the other major character trait of the Blood Angels. The Blood Angels are vampires, or if not vampires, they are vampiric. They are very pale, not as pale as, say, the Night Lords, but very pale. They have a constant, or not constant, they have a desire for human blood, which culminates in something they call the Red Thirst, where they go into like a feeding frenzy. A lot of the time they are trained, and due to their sheer willpower, they're able to resist or find other means. But this is not always the case, and on all Blood Angels and subsequent Blood Angel chapter ships, mortal crew members go missing all the time. Basically, someone decided that they could not take the thirst anymore and decided to drink them up. So it seems that I ended that in the middle of a paragraph. The paragraph was cut off, so we're going to start with the last sentence from the last bit that I read. Soon after, the sanguinary priests provide the aspirants who remain with the sanguinary chalice, from which they sup up a small amount of blood drawn from the priest's veins, which themselves carry the blood of their primarch. This process called armensanguination leads them to fall into a deep slumber. Hooded blood servitors chant the credo. Chant the credo vitae as they carry the aspirants to the hall of sacrifice, an immense gilded cathedral, where they are enclosed for a year in a huge golden casket. In this time, they are intravenously fed with nutrients and more of Sanguinius's blood, and receive the first of the implants they need to become space marines. Many die in this process or wake up too soon and never complete the transition. Throughout their sleep, the aspirants have dreams of moments from their primarch's life, the details of which are permanently etched into their souls. Their year complete, they emerge strong and tall, with a natural grace, bravery, puissant skills, and nobility akin to that of Sanguinius himself. Further surgical implantations and punishing training regimens must be undertaken before a neophyte can complete their transition into a fully fledged space marine. These newly forged battle brothers become long-lived, and with such time do they set their minds on varied pursuits and disciplines, many training to become blood masters or sublimely skilled artisans. The Blood Angels hold a lot of weight in artisans and their ability. Blood Angels are formed in a master sculptor's ideal of beauty, with smooth skin and elegant features. They adorn their weapons, armor, vehicles, and banners with beautiful art and fine embellishment, emblazoning them with all manner of chapter icons, including droplets of blood, angels' wings, and chalices. No effort, time, or expense is spared in acquiring the finest resources for such a craft. Bloodstone is carefully extracted by hand from the deep caves in the Kura Mountains of Baal, while the white pigment used to paint angels' wings can only be obtained by crushing the shells of bloodthirsty sand clams. The Blood Angels have even fought wars to claim this precious material that they use for decorations. That's crazy, going to war against someone for a decoration. Or to obtain the spineworm larvae that produce the taffeta, I hope I said that right, used to make the standards and ceremonial tabards. These space marines are as diligent in the making of their war gear and maintaining their heirlooms as they are in defending the Imperium. And few chapters have battle records as impeccable as theirs. For all their wondrous beauty, the elegance of their artisanship, and their magnificence on the battlefield, all of which can be credited to Sanguinius. There is a haunting dark side to the legacy of the Blood Angels have inherited, and it is for this reason that so many pursue their discipline to such great degree. For many, becoming the perfect swordsman or fashioning their perfect axe is but a means to focus their minds and control their inner fury. So basically what it's saying there is that despite them being artisans, being expert craftsmen, and honing their swordsmanship, marksmanship, stuff like that, for use in war and, personal growth, they also do it to keep their minds busy, to kind of keep them focused and not let the dark part of their gene seed take over, which we'll be getting into shortly. So the title of the next section is called The Flaw. So this is going to be going into the darker side of the Blood Angels and the curse of the Blood Angels and its various ailments. Some caused by the very nature of the gene seed, some caused by the death of Sanguinius, but we will get into that as we read. So, let's start. The Flaw. The Blood Angels are a dying chapter, afflicted by the dreadful curse known as the Flaw. The Blood Angel's greatest secret is a twin threat, with every Blood Angel vulnerable to different afflictions known as the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. The former clouds the minds of the afflicted with a feverish blood madness, but it is at least temporary. The Black Rage is permanent. The sufferer's sanity destroyed, and their the sufferer's sanity destroyed, and their soul lost forever to a crazed, uncontrollable fury. Over the millennia, more and more Blood Angels have been clutched in the grip of the Flaw. So first up we have the Red Thirst. So the Red Thirst. Deep within the psyche of every son of Sanguinius is a destructive yearning, a blood hunger that haunts their every waking moment and aches to be unleashed without restraint, but must be held at bay. This is the Red Thirst, and despite their every effort, the Blood Angels commonly yield to it in the heat of battle. So basically, they're able to kind of stave it off in moments of calm, but then during the stress and heat of battle, it just completely overtakes them. To succumb to it is a mark of shame in any but the direst of circumstances, where victory can only be achieved with ferocious savagery as a last resort. The Blood Angels choose to unleash it as a weapon under their careful guidance of the sanguinary priests. We will be talking about the priests later on once we get to some of the units. It is not known for the inhabitants of the worlds of which the Blood Angels are fighting to be discovered drained of blood. This may be the work of cultists seeking to disparage the chapter, or a superstitious population making sacrifices to their angelic saviors. Also plausible, however, that the blood of these citizens was indeed consumed by the blood angels in the thrall of the Red Thirst. So that is what happened. The other is just like propaganda. So this one is not really, or doesn't really have much, if anything, to do with the death of Sanguinius. This is just a flaw in a gene seed itself. So they all have this. The most psychotic of them have this, the calmest of them have this, they all have it. And it's just a matter of trying to stave it off, like it said earlier, by doing things like practicing swordsmanship and artisan work. So, next up we have the Black Rage. The Black Rage. The Blood Angels have a strong bond and blood link with their Primarch. Sanguinius's experiences are encoded into brothers consumed in such a way are inducted into the Death Company, the ranks within which they will fight one final battle in their Primarch's name. The Blood Angels have learned much of how the Black Rage afflicts the sufferer. The Blood Angels have learned much of how the Black Rage afflicts the suffering battle brothers by using the Stralio procedure, named for the tragic chaplain who pioneered this process and was later subject to it. Those who have succumbed to the Black Rage yet have no enemy upon which they will unleash their fury. They are shackled in adamantium and encouraged to talk of what they see. What rantings and ravings the Space Marines can utter are carefully recorded, analyzed, and compared with others. The procedure inevitably kills the warrior in body-shattering spasms. But collated results have given the Blood Angels invaluable data on what the Black Rage is and how it affects its user. So like I said previously, one of the things that the Black Rage causes is hallucinations. And one of the most common hallucinations is believing you are Sanguinius fighting Horus. But that is not the only one. They also see themselves as themselves on board the vengeful spirit watching Horus kill Sanguinius. And another, and probably the most common, is that whatever foe they are fighting, they are still aware of their surroundings, but they view whatever they're fighting to be Horus. So, for example, if a Blood Angel is fighting the Tyranids and succumbs to the Black Rage, he will see let's say a lictor, and not see it as a lictor, but see it as Horus himself, and believes that he is the only thing that will save his Primarch. So they are racked by genuine hallucinations of all varieties and all severities. Okay, so next up on this page about the flaws is titled Origins. So let's dive right in. Origins. Exactly why the flaw exists is intensely debated amongst the Blood Angels. The successor chapters and those elements of the imperial hierarchy that have somehow learned of it, some suggest that the flaw is rooted in chaos corruption. So that's a very important thing to know, is that the successor chapters also suffer from this. So this isn't just Blood Angel exclusive, this is any Space Marine that has Sanguinius's gene seed suffer from both the Red Thirst and the Black Rage. So that's a sizable chunk of the loyalist Space Marines. They claim it was a dark god who contrived to steal Sanguinius from the Emperor and leave him on Baal Secundus, and that the Primarch was deeply affected by their touch. his wings evidence of this. Most dismiss this, citing Sanguinius's unfailing loyalty to the Emperor, as well as that as his sons ever since. Others claim that the process of insanguination has contributed to the flow's manifestation. So basically what it's saying, that the more people insanguinate or do the ritual of insanguination, aka drinking blood, the faster it spreads, which would kind of make sense that, you know, a gene seed flaw that makes you want to drink blood is awakened when you first drink blood, but maybe that's just me. Supporters of this theory contest that not only would any inherent corruption in Sanguinius be passed on more directly to his sons, but that over 10,000 years the cells would no doubt have... While this may have happened slowly at first, occurred errors would significantly increase in number over time. It is well known that sanguinary priests and those of the adepts of Mars have studied the blood angel's gene seed. That the scions of Sanguinius have an overactive morphiega, an organ that allows space marines to absorb the skills and memories of the dead by consuming their flesh. That is a thing they have, by the way, in case you didn't know. Space marines, any biological material that they consume, they gain its memories. So it's very handy if you have an enemy in front of you that you're trying to get information out of and he isn't budging to torture. Just eat him. You know, simple solutions. Where was I? Though theories abound as to why this is the case, none know with any assuredness. It is entirely possible that this fault in their gene seed has led their blood angels and their successors to develop blood drinking and even flesh-eating rituals. I'm pretty sure there actually is a chapter called the Flesh Eaters and one called the Flesh Tearers, so it makes sense. Though many of these practices are far more prevalent in some chapters rather than others. Yeah, the eating of flesh is much more prolific in the Flesh Eaters chapter, who would have guessed? The process of absorption has narcotic qualities, and it's possible that the sons of Sanguinius feel this effect more strongly than most. That is interesting. So when they absorb it, specifically the blood angels, they get a kind of narcotic high from it, which is interesting but also terrifying, because it means they're more likely to, you know, attack you because they want to essentially get high. Other theories discuss the impact of Secundus's strange cocktail of chemical toxins and radiations might have had on the blood angels. The Baalite scriptures stored deep within the chapter's librarius record that the moon was once inhabited by all manner of mutant tribes against which Sanguinius and his people waged war. If Secundus's pollution could affect much of its human population in such a grotesque way, it is not beyond imagination that gene seed might also be altered. These ideas are dismissed by most blood angels, citing Sanguinius's immunity to the ravages of the radiation-scarred moon, as well as the transition each member of their brotherhood goes through in the golden sarcophagus, purging them of all frailties bestowed by their homeworld. It is possible that these factors play a role, their impact varying on the individual basis, thus explaining why there is no way to predict when a battle brother of the Blood Angels or one of the successor chapters might succumb to either the flaw's terrible aspects. Yeah, that is dark. Anyway, let us continue. Okay, this section has been very long, but we are almost there, so let's just power through it. So, going of the Blood Angel successor chapters have been more gravely afflicted than others, as a number of accused of failing to take the correct precautions and allowing themselves to surrender to the grip of the Red Thirst too easily. Others were found to be in more recent centuries, by which time the Blood Angel's gene seed may have already degenerated considerably. Factors such as the environment or the home worlds of those they have campaigned on, or their proximity to warp storms have all been suggested for some chapters. For some chapters, the flaw has overwhelmed them completely, leading to them being declared excommunicate, basically meaning excommunicated, traitors, or being intentionally dispatched to unwinnable wars that every one of their numbers is wiped out, having fought as frothing lunatics against impossible odds. That's gotta suck. The flaw does have some advantages, however. Being so aware of their failings has made the Blood Angels able to appreciate the weakness of others, rendering them more sympathetic to humanity than many other chapters. The Blood Angels are well known for racing to the aid of Imperial citizens, even when there is no such strategic gain to doing so. I'm not sure how accurate that is. In close concert with non-space marine forces, such as the Adeptus Sororitas or Astra Militarum, the Blood Angels nonetheless make every effort to resist the call of the Red Thirst, and are desperate in their desire to be free of the Black Rage. They take up strict disciplines, whether this be in art, bladesmanship, poetry, calligraphy, or weapon forging. To focus their minds, they spend as much time as possible on these rare occasions when they are not at war, sleeping in the sarcophagi used to create them, within which the sanguinary priests have developed filters to cleanse and purify the space marine, in hopes that the degeneracy of the flow may be slowed. Okay, so we just talked about them in the book. So these are the sanguinary priests. So I have 2 of them here and 2 of my Blood Angels apothecaries. This is your standard paint job for a sanguinary priest, and this one is a little bit fancier. This is more of a custom job. As you can see, they have a scepter in one hand and a goblet or chalice filled with blood. So this guy, really cool look. This guy has a chainsword instead of a scepter, but it's all the same. So they can be used in combat, which is very, very good. So before we talk about the in-game role, let's quickly discuss what they actually do in terms of lore. So the sanguinary priests are a unique type of apothecary, unique to the Blood Angels chapter or legion. However, they are a bit more specialized and revered than your typical apothecary. While they do serve the same function as an apothecary in terms of healing, they are also in charge of spiritual matters like rituals and prayers and stuff like that, as well as being one of the main factions in the Blood Angels to oversee the new recruitment process of initiates. Another cool thing about them is they are on the same tier as chaplains. Chaplains are the main kind of priest type unit in the Loyalist Space Marine legions and chapters. So they have the same reverence in lore as a chaplain, but they do not serve the same gameplay purpose as a chaplain. They are also very useful in rituals and guidance for those potentially on the verge of, falling to the Black Rage or being consumed by the Red Thirst. These guys are the ones to kind of help them out. And brothers who feel like they are close to succumbing to either will go to the Sanguinary Priest for aid. So they are a really, really cool model. I forgot this guy didn't, or has lost his backpack. But yeah, and this guy also has a jump pack. So you can pretty much outfit your Sanguinary Priest however you want. But their main role is is as an apothecary or an apothecary type unit. So let's get into some of their gameplay perks. So real quick, let's just have a quick look at my apothecaries. So these are 2 of my 3 apothecaries. These are just my 2 favorite ones. So this is your typical Blood Angels apothecary, and this is your another type of apothecary. I do also have an apothecary biologist, but that is a completely different character and unit role, so I did not think that it would be worth including. So the way apothecaries work for Space Marine chapters or legions is they have white armor, as you can see, with bits of coloring and markings for their unique legion or chapter. So these guys have white armor and have a red shoulder plate and red robes and a red chest piece, as well as a red stripe on the helmet, which I just think fits the Blood Angels really well, as well as just having a bloody palm. This is just to do with them being medics, but I think it fits the Blood Angels theme very well. So, what is the main difference between an apothecary and a sanguinary priest? So first of all, the sanguinary priest can do everything that an apothecary can do. However, they do offer a few unique buffs. For example, after healing a unit, they have a chance of giving that unit a +1 attack and a +1 feel no pain, which is really good. But that is only if they are leading a squad, which is something I don't believe apothecaries can actually do. So these guys can command squads, which is really good, and their benefits are quite good. While they are mainly defensive bonuses, apart from the +1 attack and melee damage, they aren't as combat oriented, but they do offer some really, really good buffs, which I think is a really interesting playstyle to have a priest leading your units. You can do that with a chaplain, but these guys offer just a tiny little bit of difference, which I really like. I've mentioned this before. I am a big fan of faction unique units, and the Sanguinary Priest are amazing. They are incredible models, and they have incredible lore attached to them. So that's it for now. I just thought that since we had just spoken about them, I would quickly tell you guys a little bit about them. But yeah, let us get back to the book. So, let's continue and finish this section up. It was hoped by some that the arrival of the Primaris Space Marines might prove to be the salvation from the flaw. This hope was a false one. Many of the new breed across the Blood Angels and their successor chapters have already been inducted into the Death Company. Jesus, that's awful. Imagine just joining as a Primaris Marine, having no idea about anything, and then on your first week you're like, boom, Death Company, losing your mind. That must be horrific. So next and last is just this little sidebar thing. It's titled Dante and the Lion. So, through the circumstances of their initial meeting are unknown to few, once Last Primarch of the Dark Angels and the Warden of the Imperium Nihilus fought alongside one another prior to and during the battle of Idolatros, I hope I said that correctly. Just as Robute Gilliman found himself impressed by the capabilities of Commander Dante, so did Lionel Johnson. His badly mauled chapter and pursue his own hidden agendas. The Dark Angels have their successor chapters have agreed to contribute to a sizable number of warriors and vessels to Dante's fledgling fleet Nihilus. Captain Vithius has remained upon Baal to oversee the Unforgiven attached to Dante's battlefield. His chapter expertise in the void and aerial combat will surely prove invaluable to the fighting to come. Really interesting. I really like flawed characters, and this Legion really speaks to me on that level. That's one of the reasons why I chose them. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, so we are gonna skip ahead a little bit and cover the named characters of the Blood Angels. I just think that this would be a great way to finish off this episode. So let's get started with Lord Commander Dante, Chapter Master of the Blood Angels. So Dante is the Chapter Master for the Blood Angels chapter, as well as being the Warden of the Imperium Nihilus. Commander Dante rules the Blood Angels. He is the bringer of Sanguinius's light, hero of the Red Scar, uniter of the Sanguinary Brotherhood, and the living embodiment of the Five Angels' graces. He is among the oldest living Space Marines, and is longest serving chapter master. To describe him as a legend is an understatement bordering on insult. Wow, that's cold. So yeah, Dante is the oldest living Space Marine. He is 15,000 years old in real time. And see, the Astartes were sold on the promise that they were immortal. That is a half-truth. They do have unusually long lives. However, when they made the Astartes, they never made them with the assumption that someone would survive for this long. So as a result, Dante is a old man in every single aspect. He looks like an old man, and he is so tired and deals with a lot of depression that he is not suicidal, but he wants to die in combat. He is just tired of everything and he just wants rest, which I can't blame the man for. Fighting a war for 1,500 years and still being at a standstill, that would make anyone want to die. So long now has Captain Dante lived that his exploits have passed gradually into myth. Did Dante truly banish the Keeper of Secrets, J. Phalion? I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, before the hanging pleasure gardens of Tobald Luxashua? Did he face an entire Black Legion warband alone, rescuing the pilgrims aboard the toils of the faithful from a truly hideous end? How many did he save in relieving the siege of Maculus? How many heretics did Dante cleave into during the emancipation of Parvalos? Only Dante himself can say with certainty. Yet he speaks not on such events. The Imperium needs heroes, needs hope in these dark times. and Commander Dante of the Blood Angels does his part to prevent mankind from losing heart. He has subsumed his own personality behind the mask he now wears, doing so for the sake of the Imperium. He rarely removes his death mask, for should those who adore him see his tired features and long white hair, they may no longer be, he may no longer be regarded as the glorious champion they believe him to be, and so desperately require. Dante has been made Warden of the Imperial Nihilist by Roberta Gilman himself. Roberta Gilman, by the way, is the acting Lord Regent of the Imperium, and is essentially the guy in charge of the Imperium. Where was I? The scale of such responsibility is impossible to fathom. Travel is extremely hazardous. Each passing day, the exhausted astropaths of the Red Scar are battered with hundreds of harrowing pleas for aid from worlds in the grip of the terrifying Drukhari raids, invaded by heretics, Astartes warbands, or are on the edge of consumption by the warp itself. All the while, much of the Red Scar region prior to the Great Rift's emergence being named protector of half the galaxy by a figure who, by a figure as eminent as Gilliman, but in reality it is a terrible burden. Each day billions die, and words are lost. Dante and the Blood Angels unable to help. Nonetheless, Dante strives to live up to his responsibilities. Already has he launched counterattacks throughout the Red Scar, seizing strategical vital worlds and rescuing beleaguered populations. He has dispatched fleets further afield to bring hope to the despairing masses. His message is to stand for him, that the Warden fights with them in spirit and in battles daily to reach them. Though beset on all sides by traitors, aliens, and heretics, Baal is becoming a beacon for the refugees and the mustering point for scattering Imperial forces. Dante has ordered the massive expansion of Skyfall, the Blood Angels' enormous space dock, to enable it to serve and support base for a vast armada of warships formed of those vessels Dante has been able to summon to Baal and those who have fled here. Dante believes that the fleet nihilists can be the start of a reclamation force that restores Imperial relics to the dominion placed in his charge. So that is Commander Dante, Warden of the Nihilists and Chapter Master of the Blood Angels, and an absolute, just badass. Oh my god, he is so cool. I love Dante. I think the Blood Angels might have the best named characters. But that's just me. Maybe I'm biased because I do genuinely really like the Blood Angels. Anyway, let's move on to our second character. Okay, so our second named character is Mephiston, known as the Lord of the Dead. So let's just get right into it. So Mephiston, Lord of the Dead. Dark, brooding, and enormously powerful. Mephiston is the Blood Angel's chief librarian, which means he is a psyker. A librarian is a psyker space marine. A figure of awe in the chapter. Many sons of Sanguinius perceive him as a savior, not only because his powers, but because of what he has overcome. Mephiston is the only known blood angel to have wholly cast the Black Rage. So, he has fallen to the Black Rage previously, but managed to claw his way back. So, and he is the only one in the entire history of the Blood Angels, not just the chapter, but back when they were the Legion too. In 10,000 years, only he managed to do it, which is insane. Mephiston was once Calistarius, a promising librarian. It was during the Second War for Armageddon that he fell to the Black Rage, and once more example of terrible waste of life begotten by the Flaw. During the fighting, tons of masonry fell upon Calistarius and trapped him in for days. I was tormented by visions, teetering on the brink between my life and death. Sanity and madness, but he did not succumb. Through incredible strength of will, he confronted the Black Rage that stained his soul and rejected it. Upon this miraculous achievement, he burst forth from the ruins that trapped him, reborn as Mephiston, Lord of Death. So just two small little quick things about Mephiston that I'm not sure if they'll be mentioned here, but they are just fun facts. If you have, in the book, The Devastation of Baal, I won't get into what the book is about, but it's about the Blood Angels. And it's said that Mephiston, more than any other space marine or blood angel, looks like Sanguinius. That, normally the gene seed, makes people develop physical traits like hair color, eye color, facial structure of their gene sire. But Mephiston is essentially a carbon copy of Sanguinius. Also, it is said that Mephiston is not at full strength during the day. There's a bit early on in the book where someone encounters, it's Dante who encounters Mephiston at essentially middle of the afternoon, and Mephiston looks like absolute garbage. And Dante realizes that it's because he's out in the sun. So again, that's just more of that vampire motif things. So, through means that remain a mystery to the sanguinary priests and the librarians, Mephiston's gene seed has somehow been awoken, imbuing him with abilities beyond those of the greatest of his battle brothers. The Lord of Death could move at speeds almost too fast for the eye to see, and such was his strength that he could pulverize ceramite with his bare hands. Mephiston rose rapidly through the librarius ranks and became chief librarian. In battle, he bears a force sword called Vitaris, an ancient weapon said to have been blessed with a drop of the Primarch's blood. His expertly crafted and highly ornate artificer armor contains a psychic hood that further enhances his already formidable powers. Mephiston is now an icon of hope to his brothers. For if he can defeat the Black Rage, perhaps others can too. That is a great point. Some blood angels are less convinced, wondering whether Mephiston's miraculous victory over the Flaw is all it seems, and whether it carried a hidden price that has yet to be revealed. After the Great Rift tore the galaxy in two, Mephiston only grew more powerful. Those who fought alongside him reported that the chief librarian's ability to halt the passage of time, project his mind through the bodies of others, and exsanguinate his opponent with a thought. To those suspicious of him, this only made him more dangerous. His detractors' concerns appeared to be validated when, while fighting aboard the battleship Dominance against the Slaneshi demons, Mephiston's powers overwhelmed him, For this he was locked within the chymic spheres, a prison deep within the Arx Angelicum. It was during the incarceration that librarian Gaius Varcellus suggested Mephiston cross the Rubicon Primus to help him contain his powers. It was a risk. Many feared it may make Mephiston even more dangerous, but he underwent the days-long and agonizing operation and survived, emerging not only more powerful, but also more stable. No Blood Angel, however, knows what Mephiston truly went through, or what terrible truths he learned. In the horrifying visions he experienced, all of which he has vowed to never reveal. So that is Mephiston, Lord of Death, Chief Librarian of the Blood Angels. I adore Mephiston. I think he is such a cool character. He is the most powerful psyker in the Blood Angels, one of the most powerful psychers in the Loyalist Marines. He came back from something that no one has ever done, and it makes sense why people are low-key afraid of him. So the next two characters are probably the two characters out of the four that I know the least about, so I'm actually looking forward to reading this to find out more about them, as they are really cool characters nonetheless. So first up we have Astaroth the Grim, known as Redeemer of the Lost. There is no rank within the Blood Angels more honored or loathed than the Redeemer of the Lost. It is held in the highest esteem for the terrible burden its bearer must carry and the harsh duties they must enact. It is reviled because the Redeemer has the blood of countless brothers on his hands. Countless brothers on his hands, a stain that can never be removed. Astaroth the Grim seeks out souls so gripped by the black rage that not even death in battle is possible for them. To those individuals he brings swift mercy, beheading them with a single stroke of his weapon of his office, the executioner's axe. Any scion or sanguineous feel deeply unsettled around Astaroth, knowing that of all of Sanguinius' sons are suspected of the Black Rage, and that one day it may be their necks on the receiving end of the High Chaplain's blade. Okay, so Astaroth is a chaplain. His artificer armor resembles the flayed musculature of an Adeptus Astartes warrior, while his black winged jump pack and the long black hair lend him a sinister aspect that contrasts sharply with the angelic visage of his Primarch and the noble sanguinary guard. The weight of his terrible burden and the ceaseless grief he endures have given him a humorless, dour manner, and every battle brother knows that one day it may be them who is brought to an end by the lethal weapon he carries. So that's interesting because, as you know, the way Gene Seed works is it makes you take on physical characteristics of your Primarch. So in this case, Sanguinius, you would get blonde hair. But Astaroth has long black hair, which is interesting. So maybe that's something to do with the Gene Seed, maybe that's something just to do with him. I'm not quite sure, but that's cool that there is some kind of leeway in what the Gene Seed can actually do to you and what it cannot. The Redeemer of the Lost must bear his duty alone, for only one of his iron will can bear the trauma and sorrow that his role inevitably entails. Since his ascension to the post, Astaroth alone has been equal to the task, though in recent years it has grown ever more arduous and all-consuming. With the recent with the recent Indominus Crusade fleets now deployed across the vastness of the Imperium and beyond, elements of the Blood Angels chapter and its many successors find themselves embroiled in ceaseless bloody conflicts throughout the Imperium's war-riven segmentums. The number of new inductees into the Death Companies has continued to swell as a result of this endless warfare. So as the war carries out, the more people fall to the Black Rage. Kind of makes sense, high stress and all that. Astaroth the Grim must now spend longer and longer away from Baal, crossing the stars in pursuit of the soul call of the Black Rage wherever he hears it, journeying far and wide amongst the Blood Angels' successors. Aboard his ship, the Eminence Sanguine, which has been used as his predecessors for millennia. So I'm assuming this ship is used by those who hold this office or this position. Such is the unerring accuracy with which Astaroth pinpoints the emergence of the Black Rage amongst his brothers that to many it appears that his very presence encourages the flow within them. This belief is false. Only he can hear the doom-laden chords of the Black Rage's call, like forlorn symphony of which cannot be silenced or even dulled. Even with great distance, it is Astaroth's gift and curse that only he can defeat the immersion flow in a soul before any other, and the Redeemer of the Lost will do all in his power to reach such afflicted battle brothers before their madness takes hold. And so Astaroth is as true as angel of death as any, both to his rivals and to his battle brothers. Wherever he fights, the black-clad warriors of the Death Company are by his side, their combined power and terrible onslaught that devastates any enemy they reach. Despite his reputation amongst his brothers, it is Astaroth's primary desire to see those afflicted with the Black Rage find release from their torment in an honorable death upon the battlefield. The use of the Executioner's Axe upon a son of Sanguinius is only ever used as a last resort, a final mercy to those unfortunate enough to survive their final battle. Through the sweltering jungles of Cyranus, the Redeemer led the Lamenter's Death Company in a blood-soaked yet glorious assault upon the orcs of Zignat, allowing their chapter to emerge victorious thanks to their sacrifice. In the generatoriums of Mitosia, of the Angels of Excellus, so I'm assuming they are a chapter. In the generatoriums of Mitosia II, he fought side by side with Captain Lysis Valadia of the Angels Excellus. I'm assuming they are a subchapter of the Blood Angels, deep in the grip of the Black Rage, and witness his final stand against the Patriarch of the Gilded Claw. A Patriarch is the leader of a Genestein cult, basically like a massive tyrannid. In each such conflict, Astaroth channels his deep sorrow into a ferocious battle fury. He hews apart foe after foe in his savage determination to give his doomed brothers the glorious end in battle each deserve after their years in service. So Astaroth seems like a very, very tragic character, that he has to do this horrific task, and only he is able to do it because of his will, and because of that his brothers despise him. But he does it because he's doing a good thing. He's giving them mercy. I know he's killing them, but he's giving them mercy from the endless pain and torment that the Black Rage brings. So I knew next to nothing about Astaroth before reading that, and now I think he is my favourite of the three so far, more than Mephiston even. Anyway, let's move on to our fourth. So next up, and our final named character, is Lamartes, known as the Guardian of the Lost. Very similar to Astaroth's title. So let's read about Lamartes. So like I said, Astaroth is the Redeemer of the Lost, Lamartes is the Guardian of the Lost. So I'm assuming they deal with somewhat similar things, but I may be wrong. Let's just read and find out. Few knew the graceful nuances and sublime merits of the cult sanguinist, the doctrines and the beliefs of the Blood Angels and their successors better than Chaplain Lamartes. He was deeply learned in the rites of initiation, vindication, and redemption. The Blood Pact, the Host Throng, the 9 in Carmine axioms, the orders of the Circulus Arminiad, yet for all his unfathomable wisdom and admiration of his brothers, he was no less vulnerable to the Black Rage. Chaplain Lamartes fell to the Black Rage during the liberation of Hadriath 11. Unlike the other warriors of Death Company who spearheaded the Planet Strike, Lamartes survived and carved a bloody path through the Orc defenders, finally collapsing from his wounds only after the investigation took several months, during which time Lamartes was largely kept in stasis to ensure his safety and those around him. But the results seemed to reinforce Astaroth's hopes that the chaplain was unquestionably in the grip of the Black Rage. For all the physical signs were there, yet his mind was not riven with insanity, which is interesting. So it seems like it only has a partial hold on him. Where was I? Though an act of incredible willpower, Lamartes appeared able to hold his madness in check. Several sanguinary priests argued that this was but a temporary respite, but Astaroth was not so sure, refusing to slay Lamartes. As many wished, he awoke the chaplain from his enforced slumber and offered him a way in which he could continue to serve. So did Lamartes become the guardian of the lost and the wielder of the ancient blood Crozius. He repaid Astaroth's faith 1,000 times over, for the Death Company have never been so potent as a force as they are under his guidance. At battle's end, he is pinched in stasis once more, to slumber through the weeks and months until he is required again. For Lamartes, there is no longer any calm before the storms. His life is one of constant battle, for he is awake when needed and preserved when he is not. Lamartes is rarely in stasis for long. Charged with rallying the beleaguered defenders of the Imperium Nihilus, the Blood Angels find themselves stretched thin across the vastness of the Red Scar and beyond. With each bloody battle, do more of the sons of Sanguinius succumb to the Black Rage. The inspirational leadership and direction provided to these lost souls by Chaplain Lamartes rendered him invaluable to the chapter. The purgation of the Coronate heretics on Venorax, the liberation of Hive Drail from the clutches of the Cabal and the Jade Spider. These victories and more were carved in the blood of Death Company. With the Martyrs at their head, the Martyrs is surely living on borrowed time. For even his formidable willpower cannot keep the Black Rage at bay indefinitely. Yet the moment at least the chaplain's iron will holds firm. He is a symbol of hope to the chapter, slipping into darkness, for it is the Martyrs who can continue to reason and serve the chapter within the darkened sanity of the Black Rage. Perhaps others can do so too. And this is a quote by Brother Corbulo. Quote, "After countless examinations, I am convinced that the Martyrs remains one of our greatest hopes. But be not in doubt. His rage knows no bounds. His fate is one we cannot aspire to. Lest we all, each of us, live a life locked in perpetual stasis until death, we must do more." End quote. So that was the Martyrs, and that was all 4 of the named Blood Angels characters. So, let me know in the comments, who is your favorite out of these? I am torn between Astorath and the Martyrs. Astorath is very much almost condemning himself in order to provide mercy to his fellow brothers, whereas the Martyrs is enduring his own misery in order to help his fellow brothers doing the same or dealing with the same thing. And reading all of these, except for Dante's, just goes to show that the Black Rage can strike anywhere. It doesn't matter if you're a standard soldier, someone who's up close and personal and is, a lot more violent. If you are a Astartes with the gene seed of Sanguinius, you are equally at risk, as is everyone else. So, that is going to be the end of this episode, but before we end, we are going to have a look at these characters on the tabletop. Okay, so here are our 4 characters, and I have them laid out in the order that we read them. Now, something interesting is I have both the old models, which were the ones I originally used with my army, and then the new models, which I got about maybe 6 months ago, and you can see those in my Blood Angels Army update video. So we're going to have a look at both the new model and the old model. We're going to start with the old models first, and then we can look to see the difference in quality. So this is Chapter Master Dante, Warden of the Imperium Nihilus. So as you can see, he wears all gold armor, very similar to the Sanguinary Guard. His helmet is that of Sanguinius's. It's literally it's Sanguinius's own helmet, with a lot of white decals and the blood drop ruby in the middle of his chest plate. He has his axe in one hand and I'm not sure what that is. That looks like, it's not a bolt pistol, maybe like a melter pistol. I actually don't know what weapon that is. But he does have a jump pack. That's one of his key armor features. All in all, not a terrible model. It served its purpose, and at the time it was great. But now, here is the new Dante. And just look at the size of this guy. This is an incredible model. I did do something different with this one. I painted his actual, around his face white rather than all gold. I just wanted a little bit of, contrast. But the chest piece is the same, the shoulder pad colors are the same weapons. He has his power axe and his melter pistol. I really, really like this model. I'm a big fan of all of the most recent models for the Blood Angels named characters, and the base is even cool. It's him kind of kicking up off a rock with his jetpack to jump up in the air. So, yeah, the old model was good for its time. This one is amazing. Next up, we have... So again, this falls into the category that Dante's old model fell into. That it's not bad, but it's not great. And, for the time, this would have been really, really good. And finally, we have the Marty's himself. The man who fell to the Black Rage and said no. So you can see him here. For some reason, both models have him with a ball gag in. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Maybe it's just an artistic thing. Maybe he bites on it to keep keep from being corrupted, keep from fully giving in to the Black Rage or something. Or maybe he's just kinky, I don't know. But anyway, you can see him here with his plasma pistol and with his scepter thing. I still have no idea what that actually is. I'm pretty sure it's good for hitting people, but that's really about it. And yeah, you can see he has his massive jump packs on both sides of his back. Really, really cool model. So yeah, these were must-buys for me. As a Blood Angels fan, I know Blood Angels, like I said, are my second favorite Legion, but when I saw the new models and how cheap they were going for, because they were sold out, when I saw the new models, I just knew I had to get them, and I just went to my local game store and was like, hey, can I get like one of each of these? And the guy was like, yeah. So I also really like that the Marty's has these skulls on his shoulders. Not human skulls, not flayed flesh to look like a face or a skull, but just skulls carved into it, not actual human skulls. And that is going to be it for the miniatures for these 4 named characters. These guys are the most important characters in the Blood Angels army, and even more so the most important that you can play as. So I'm curious in the comments, and I'm not just saying this to like try and do the YouTuber thing of, oh, leave a comment. I would genuinely like to know, 1, which of these 4 is your favorite and why? And 2, who do you pick when you go to play on the tabletop? If you had to only pick one of these guys to join you on the table, who would it be and why? I don't know right now. I'd have to look into the data sheet a little bit more, but I would want the Martys with me just for the vibes. And yeah, so that is going to be it, and let's quickly go back to the book so we can finish this video up. Next up, we have Mephiston, Chief Librarian of the Blood Angels. So this is the old Mephiston model. This one is even made of metal. So as you can see, it is kind of very crude, I would say, especially with the face. Maybe that's just because I painted it weird, but he has his sword, he has his plasma pistol, he has this little cape neck thing. I'm not quite sure what that is. I was never a big fan of this model. I used it because Mephiston is an amazing unit to run on the tabletop. But, yeah. Anyway, here is the new Mephiston. And oh my god. So first off, we see his famous sword that it mentioned in the book. Oh, sorry. In the book. He is holding a plasma pistol in the other hand with this flowing flowing cape. I see some vials down here. Some of them are full of some kind of concoctions. Other ones are filled with blood. I'm assuming those are to kind of satiate the red thirst. And his chest piece is exactly as it is described. It is the musculature of a flayed man. And I love that he's just casually walking around with this. Now, this is not actually human skin. This isn't, Night Lord's territory. But it's just designed to look like that. As well as he has his almost white blonde hair. I think that's called like platinum blonde or something. He has this very kind of angry look in his face, which after reading about him, that's completely understandable, mate. You got his two skulls up here, his weird neck thing. And yeah, I really, really like this model. I love Mephiston as a character, and having him get a cool model just makes things even better. Next, we have Astaroth the Grim. So, this is the old Astaroth. Very, very simple. This might be my least favorite out of the old models. Just because it doesn't look threatening at all. Like, he's leaned back in such a weird way. His face just looks weird. The axe just, the axe is powerful, but it doesn't look threatening or anything. And his wings, while black, are just kind of there. They're not actually adding anything to the model. But then the new Astaroth. Oh my god. So, let's break it down step by step. So we start off with some of the skulls on his knee pads. And he has the same armor style as Mephiston, a human body stripped of skin and exposed musculature. I really like this, and there's kind of bits of gold running in and out of it. I adore this. This might have been... I absolutely adore this. You can see his axe is much bigger and much more threatening. As you can see, it's glowing with all of his energy. His wings are not just like little bits on the side. They are massive. They are as big as he is, and he is like doing a running jump ready to take off. And also, very small detail, and I did this just based on lore and stuff, but I painted his complexion very gray, like very almost, not like white, but white. The color white. And funny enough, this is actually my skin color in real life. Little behind the scenes bit for me. But yeah, I just think that's funny. He has his black hair, which is a standout amongst the sons of Sanguinius. And yeah, this is just such a good model. All of whoever decided to, or like what the sculpts were going to be, absolutely just did an incredible job. Okay, everyone, that is going to be it for part 1. We will cover the rest of this codex in part 2. I am going to get some sleep after this, and then I'm going to start recording part 2 instantly. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed reading or watching or listening to this as much as I enjoyed making it. I absolutely adore making codex content. I know it's not the same as art books, but it's the closest I can get for Warhammer, and I absolutely love Warhammer. After this, though, we are going to be going back to just standard art books for a while. But yeah, so again, thank you so much for watching. Your viewership, as always, means the world to me. My name has been Crimson, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good evening.